Hi there, welcome to I Lone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Libra energy. For this round of 12 zodiac sign readings, I'm using this deck called the Lenormand Answers Expanded Edition. I got it off an Etsy shop called Maruk X. I have it listed down in the video description box if you want to get the spelling of that and check out their website. So let's see what's going on. Some people in their high vibe Libra energy are listening to their intuition and they are willing to shed the old to give birth to the new. They're being emotionally brave and bold and confident. If they previously had kind of been caught up in their fears or their insecurities or illusions or not seeing things clearly, maybe in pride or ego or emotional defensiveness, or had illusions about someone being loving, that's all over, whatever the specific thing to them might have been. And they are sounding their horn, taking bold, brave, confident action that they are putting in the work and effort to deal with the things within them that can gnaw away at the stability of their life, which can be their fears, their insecurities, our shadow nature, basically, which is our kind of more immature, selfish, greedy, materialistic, prideful, emotionally defensive nature, lack of self esteem. They're putting work and effort into what it is that has caused them maybe mental conflict and maybe made them feel in lack, or that has caused maybe for them to be left out in the cold from situations, whatever the case might be, because they want it to end and they want to reconcile themselves with the past so that when they think about the past, you've dealt with the past pain and heartbreak and other people in your life who are unkind, unloving, selfish, greedy, manipulative, whatever, so that you can let it go. It's just kind of accepting the truth that there's people in the world that we had illusions about, that we wish would have been loving and kind and supportive and encouraging. And we just have to see the truth that they had their own issues that prevented them from being loving and kind and nurturing. And when we just kind of accept that everybody's fallible human beings and everybody has their own issues, just like we had our own issues and will have our own issues and have our own issues, that we let it go. It is what it was. It is what it is. When we choose to love ourselves and treat ourselves every day in a way that we wish other people would, we treat ourselves with love and compassion and forgiveness and kindness and encouragement, then we've given ourselves what we wish other people would give us, and we can go out in the world and offer love and kindness and respect to other people, to find the people in the world who do want to reciprocate that. And then we're going to have some hope and faith and belief that maybe that relationship will move forward, So that's awesome. Some people could have moved away from a Capricorn. Other people moved away from juggling and not really wanting to invest in people. And that's what ended up causing them to have relationships and work situations kind of leave them out in the cold, was because they weren't really willing to invest, time, energy, and effort in a way, kind of like playing games in relationships, or kind of maybe being immature and thought that's what people could do. And it's like, yeah, relationships don't really work out well when you play games or don't really invest. And if someone had illusions about someone else, maybe a Capricorn or someone else who juggled and didn't really invest, those people are moving away from those people because they see the truth. And it's like, this isn't going anywhere. And if I want to have my dreams come into reality and the life and get the justice I deserve in my life, I need to quit being in mental conflict about these people that are like that. I need to move away from that. And if there was a part of myself that made me stay in those type of relationships because I wasn't sure, well, do I want to be with you or do I believe in myself? We have to figure out our own issues of why we kept investing time and energy and effort into people who didn't invest. who maybe juggled us and other people. Why do we keep saying kind of invest in those people? Do we not believe that we can manifest our dreams into reality? You know, the universe knows the hearts of people, and if they know other people that we're involved with aren't really investing with us, might be in their Capricorn energy, people who are more about getting in relationships and willing to juggle us who we might be loving, but if they're kind of more tempted by money and materialism and status and image, and they're like, I don't know, I think I might go do that relationship instead. Well, the universe just wants us to see the truth of their heart that we weren't seeing. And when we see the truth that of other people's hearts, that they were not people who really invest, who might be live a life more based on pride and ego and image and status than love, the divine just wants us to see the truth so that we aren't living in illusion, so that the divine can work with us to manifest our dreams into reality. So, the reason the reading came out is because of the Pisces and the Leo card. Someone might have gotten involved in some type of relationship dynamic, maybe with a Pisces or a Leo. They thought, you know, Pisces can be about our dreams of what's going to come into reality. And people could have been strong about it, thinking this relationship was going to move forward. But then it could have ended because maybe the other person got the idea that, I don't know if I really want to do this. I don't know if I want to be in a relationship with you or them or this job or that job or whatever. And so, because of it, you saw the truth that maybe the person you were in a relationship with wasn't really investing, or if it was a job that they weren't really investing in you to help you move forward. So, you know, it was causing you mental conflict, and maybe the person you were working with was someone who had an energy about them of either having a lot of mental conflict and not knowing if they want to move forward in life, if they want to keep repeating patterns of the past, or maybe they were someone who had an energy about them of wanting to win at all costs, and they didn't seem to care who got hurt. It's kind of more like, oh, I don't really want to invest in people. I kind of want to indulge myself in relationships. You know, maybe they live kind of in fantasy land and more in pride and ego about indulging themselves in relationships. So, whatever the case could have been, because for everyone it would kind of be different, you've seen the truth and you're moving forward in your life. And you won't be sounding a trumpet about this person, again, maybe a Pisces in your life, or someone who you realize you might have thought a dream was going to come into reality with. You might be letting it be made known that you are no longer aligning with those people. And for some of you, it could have been an aspect within yourself that you've overcome. If you before were someone who put an end to moving forward in your life with people and relationships because you were someone who juggled and were kind of back and forth and didn't really want to invest in people and kind of operated more out of emotional defensiveness and had illusions that you could be that way in relationships, you're putting an end to your fears and insecurities about investing in people because you want your dreams to come into reality. So, people who have decided those things for themselves are people who are putting in the work and effort emotionally in Capricorn anchor card to deal with their regrets of the past. You know, if relationships in our past didn't work out that caused us pain and heartbreak, you know, caused us to be sad, you know, it could have made us defensive to investing in other people emotionally. And then we could think, oh, I can just get in relationships and just create an illusion, that it's going to move forward. But really, I'm fearful and afraid. And I'm really kind of maybe in the relationship, hoping to focus more maybe on money and materialism and status and image and stay emotionally defensive, you know. And if people keep leaving us because they don't want to live in an illusionary relationship and they don't want to be in a relationship with someone who's emotionally defensive and fearful and insecure, who doesn't really invest, if we get tired of that happening in our life, if you were someone who did something like that, in order to get people to keep willing to be in a relationship with us, we've got to deal and put in the work and effort, because Capricorn energy is about putting in the hard work and effort to free yourself from the things that enslave us from having our dreams come into reality. And if the things that were keeping some people enslaved was relationships in the past that didn't work out, people in our past who didn't choose to keep moving forward with us in relationships, so now we're fearful of working with other people. Well, part of it, I think, is that we just got to wrap our brain around that. Why didn't those relationships work out? What did I do and how was I that contributed to that relationship not working out? Okay, am I willing to change those things? Was I someone who juggled? Was I defensive? Was I get caught up in fantasy land? Was I not being realistic? Was I not seeing people clearly? Did I get in relationships more out? We have to get into a relationship planting good seeds. And if we're not planting good seeds within it, how are we going to grow a stable foundation if we're maybe getting in a relationship because of our fear or insecurity or pride or ego or something other than love? And if the other people we're dealing with could have left us, we take responsibility for our actions. And when we deal with and reconcile ourselves with our own issues and I'm going to act better next time. I'm going to be more disciplined within myself. I'm blah, blah, blah. Well, then we can also look at what was the aspects of the other person. Were they manipulative? Were they selfish? Were they greedy? Are they fearful? Are they insecure? Blah, blah, blah. And we just have to see why, and sometimes we don't know why other people act the way they do, but, because people can present themselves as loving in King of Cups energy, which I see as Cancer energy. People can present themselves as, I'm a loving home and family person, but they're not. They like to present that to the world, because the kings in tarot can talk about how we present ourselves to the world, whether we're male or female. But they could be people who haven't dealt with their past pain and heartbreak. So then when they get in a relationship, they might still want somebody to mother them and nurture them, while they never deal with their own past pain and heartbreak. And so then they're always fearful of having this new relationship come into reality, being loving and nurturing and all that, because they're still fearful of being loving because they've been hurt before. My own philosophy is that if people haven't dealt with their past pain and heartbreak and all that, they're going to act in ways that are a little more shadowy in a relationship at times. Selfish, greedy, manipulative, defensive, prideful, egotistical, all of the things to avoid dealing with their own issues. And if they don't deal with their own issues, it's hard to have a dream relationship come into reality with them, because a dream relationship should be based on love. And until people love themselves enough to deal with their past pain and heartbreak, to release it, the past pain and heartbreak still has a hold on them. And that's where they go back and forth oh, well, I want this dream to come into reality, but these people hurt me before. I want to be open and vulnerable, but when I did that before, people rejected me. And so they go back and forth. It's we got to reconcile ourselves with our past to move forward. So people in high vibe Libra energy are putting in the work and effort, listening to their intuition and love for themselves and wanting their dreams to come into reality, those people are putting in the hard work and effort to see the truth about why relationships didn't work out in the past, to see the truth about people in their past who maybe weren't loving, weren't kind, were controlling or prideful or egotistical. Some people could have been dealing with a Pisces or a Leo. Maybe for some people, their relationships didn't work out because they were the one who was kind of in illusion that they could be emotionally defensive and not really invest in relationships, and had the illusion that people would just want to stay in a relationship with them. Maybe because they have image or status or money or materialism or think they're very good looking or something, that they just thought other people would want to stay in a relationship with them out of their own pride and ego. Well, it looks good, and oh, I wouldn't want to leave this relationship because of this and this and this. And they just thought people would keep willing to be in a relationship with them that basically wasn't going to grow, you know, because it isn't based on being loving and authentic. And people ended relationships with them because it's like, I'm not willing to stay in a relationship with someone for those reasons, you know. It's just to figure out the truth of how did we think and why did we think people should stay in relationships with us? What did we do in relationships to make relationships end? What did other people do? Maybe some people have regrets that a mother figure seemed to be in two minds about truly having a loving relationship come into existence because they were kind of emotionally defensive, presented themselves as loving to the world, but it caused us pain and heartbreak when we were children because they weren't really authentically loving and giving. You know, sometimes people can be conditionally giving, you know, and manipulatively giving for this, for that, and I want to control you and blah, 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 you know. If we're not in relationships with people who really do take action, who are bold and brave enough to have dealt with their own past pain and heartbreak, to be emotionally vulnerable and open and honest, who listen to their intuition and they take bold creative action to listen to their intuition, kind of like their conscience, and you know, be authentically loving with people, it's gonna cause us some mental conflict, and we're going to kind of feel betrayed, and it's probably going to instill some fear and insecurity, especially if we viewed that person as, you know, someone that we love and have a lot of love for and thought they would be more loving than they maybe were. It's just to accept they just got their own issues that they maybe hadn't overcome. And when we're willing to see the truth of it and listen to our intuition and not let relationships of our past keep us from having our dreams come into reality, we do all that work within us so that we can take action in the world. Listening that, you know, it's all about kind of breaking generational curses, right? And being not getting caught up in that web again of being emotionally defensive. Someone hurt me, you know, it's like the tumbled domino fact that we're dealing with human beings that got their own fears and insecurities. So when we get in a family, and if those people kind of got their issues that make them tip more towards maybe being um, a little more emotionally manipulative or passive aggressive or controlling or making their life more about money and materialism than authenticity and love. You know, we're like a child in that household with parents who have their own issues. You know, they knock us and it kind of knocks us a little bit to the side. And then with our children, we can do that. And it's just kind of gone on for generation and generation. At what time are we going to say, I want to heal from my past pain and heartbreak and deal with these issues, that I accept that they had their issues, I've got my issues, and I want to try to be more open and honest and authentic and loving so that with my children, I can maybe knock them, you know, a little bit more into balance instead of tipping towards some negativity, you know, and defensiveness and stuff like that. So, with the mice card, that kind of reminds me of Five of Wands and Five of Swords energy. The mice talk about that if we don't deal with the problems and the issues within ourselves, it just gnaws away. We can live in illusion that, oh no, I'll just be strong, I'll just be brave, like it'll miraculously go away. It never goes away until we deal with it you know and the Aquarius energy talks about trying to see life from a higher perspective and have hope and faith and belief in healing. And when we believe that, if I try to step back and look at this from a higher perspective, you know that's when we can maybe, put ourselves in other people's shoes. And if you know how other people grew up and why they maybe act the way they do, well, if we haven't healed from our pain and heartbreak, why should we have certainly expected that we would have wished they would? But if we haven't healed from ours, why would we expect they would have? And now we're maybe finally looking at things from a higher perspective. And then we can extend grace to people in our past who maybe didn't take time to see things from a higher perspective. And so life played out as it did. But it's hard to deal with our own inner issues. And when we see things from a higher perspective and we do that work to deal with our past pain and heartbreak and to want to believe in ourselves and have our dreams come into reality and not repeat generational patterns of behavior, that's when we can detach from the past and let it go, let it be what it was, and move forward in our life. The Five of Pentacles moves away from the Four of Pentacles, and that can be a way of being that we used to cling to, which can be our fears and insecurities about working together with others cooperatively, of opening up, or clinging to repeating these patterns of the past, or operating from pride and ego and making our life more about money and materialism and things other than love because of our fear or self-limiting beliefs or insecurity. We're able to move forward in life now. So that in the photograph card is when we've reconciled ourselves with the past and we've made peace with it. And when we've made peace with the past, that's when we can live in the present moment and move forward. We are independent of the past. In Virgo energy, we've done the work within to shed light, like love and compassion on the past, us in our past, other people in our past. It's not to go in there with a hammer and beat everyone up in our mind. It's just to extend grace to everybody being the fallible human beings that they are, and knowing our own worth and value, and loving and believing in ourselves that, there comes a time in life that we have to learn to be our own best mother, father, coach voice in our own head. We are the manager of our life and we're our only client. And we don't have control over anyone else in the world but ourselves. So we can't control and try to make other people, who knows what their issues are and if they're going to choose to be loving and kind to ourselves, kind to us. But we can choose every day to treat ourselves with respect and kindness and love and compassion and forgiveness, because ever since we've been small children, we grow in environments that are like that, and we need to grow and mature ourselves. And we've become independent of foundations in our past, our emotional defensiveness, our fear, our insecurity. We're able to get out of our mind and be more balanced and know our worth and value, to believe in ourselves and our dreams. Oh, wow, I love that. Nine of Pentacles and Nine of Cups. We have learned how to nurture ourselves and be happy within ourselves. When we know how to fill up our own cup emotionally, we're not looking and clinging to people outside of us or foundations of our past, like, you have to love me, you have to validate my worth and value, or just to the world in general, you have to validate me, you have to love me. It's like, that's disempowering, because who knows what the hell all the people in the world are going to do. They got their own life and issues to live, right? They've all got their own pain and heartbreak. They've got their own fears and insecurities. We have to take responsibility for loving and nurturing and valuing ourselves. And then when we take responsibility for that, then we have a strong enough emotional foundation within ourselves to go out into the world and offer other people love and kindness and respect. And when those people aren't in a place to be able to reciprocate it, we wish them peace and we move on to see who in the world is at kind of a place in their life where they can reciprocate love and kindness and respect. And then those are the people we invest time, energy, and effort into. You have listened to your intuition and calmed your own fears and insecurity and emotionally defensive nature and immature, prideful, egotistical nature to be emotionally brave and strong, to go live your own authentic life, to step into the spotlight of your own life. So, we're either willing to see the truth about what is causing us mental conflict. And part of that mental conflict can be this dualistic nature within ourselves that, we have Leo, pride and ego, we have Capricorn, worldly nature, and we have our mind, and then we have the truth. Is our life more about pride and ego and image and status and money and materialism? That's our worldly nature. And part of our mind would like us to make our life about those things, because then we won't get hurt. But our high vibe Leo nature of being bold and brave and strong and confident wants to temper our more worldly nature to get more balance between our wishes and dreams and the things that we really love and truth. Instead of just what our worldly nature kind of tells us and what the world tells us to make our life about, we have our own inner truth of what really lights us up, what we're inspired by, what we love. And we have to learn to find balance between this dualistic nature within ourselves. And if we don't put in the work to try to find that balance, and we kind of go back and forth, well, I kind of love this, but I want this. I kind of want love, but I want to be defensive. We got to come to a place of balance, or we're always going to have mental conflict. And the people who did not kind of win the battle are still juggling and are still maybe going back and forth, and in their maybe pride and ego think they know better than love, or putting in the work and effort to get balance within themselves. They could be deciding to live more from their mind and their heart and connecting in with their emotions and their intuition, or emotional defensive. But they have decided they know better than love and listening to their intuition, and they're moving forward with their own plan. And their plan is to maybe operate from their pride and ego, which doesn't have life-giving energy, because it's love and intuition that kind of has the life-giving energy. They might move forward with a Capricorn or a Leo, but they're definitely more aligned with their worldly, egotistical, emotionally defensive nature. They might put an end to listening to their intuition, because their intuition would tell them to be bold and brave and be authentically themselves. And they've decided, I'm not doing that. I am going to kind of create an illusion about who I am. I'll present myself as being like a strong, brave, loyal, committed, dedicated person, but I kind of have my fears and insecurities and emotional defensiveness. And if they were in a relationship with either maybe a Capricorn, a Leo, or a Pisces, they're moving away from that person. They could, because they have regrets of the past that they're not willing to put the work and effort into, those people could be either deciding to present themselves as loving to someone else who is loving in the world, to try to get that person to love and nurture them because they're not choosing to kind of like love and nurture themselves, or to go towards someone who has money and materialism. And they're going to continue to be in denial. They're kind of deciding to make their life about money and materialism and pride and ego, and continuing to stay in denial of the truth that they could have their dreams come into reality, and maybe convince themselves that no, 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 making my life about money and materialism and pride and ego, that is my dream. But they might be doing it more right now. They're just not able to get balance within themselves, so that's kind of how they got to live their life. um, or they don't want to see a truth about themselves or about people from their past, so they're not willing to deal with those regrets. And so because they're not willing to deal with those regrets, there could be loving people in their life who are intuitive, who want to have their dreams come into reality, and they are turning their back on those people because they would have to do that work within themselves to work together with those people. So they might present themselves as loving either to someone new who doesn't know that this person isn't willing to really move forward in life and deal with their own fears and insecurities. Or they might try to present themselves as loving to someone who does have status and money and materialism, and they've decided, I'll get in a relationship with someone who seems to already have those things, and maybe might be more about money and materialism also, in a shadowy kind of Libra Taurus energy. And even though these people have some inner conflict about this, they might feel left out in the cold financially, so they want to get in a relationship to look like a shining star in the world for their ego and image and status, or because they don't believe in themselves and believe that they have the resources to balance out their emotions and overcome their fears and insecurities. They're going to get in a relationship with someone who they maybe have the opportunity to get in a relationship with that would make them look like a shining star. Or again, they're just going to focus on money and materialism and looking like they're surrounded by luxury in life, and present themselves to the world as like a loving family person, but they're really maybe have fears and insecurities of getting in a relationship with anyone, but they'll look like they're a shining star in the world. Um, and maybe when they eventually, and either they're going to stay single and decide for them that's what's best, because when they deal maybe with other people in a relationship, either the relationships end and this person doesn't want to figure out why relationships end or deal with it. They might just decide, you know what, I'm going to be happy being single. Or some of them, because loving people in their life could have left their life because this person kind of thought they could have maybe moved forward in a way that is kind of not dealing with their issues, operating out of emotional defensiveness, pride, and ego. And some loving people in their life aren't willing to stay in a relationship with them for those reasons. They want love. And because that person, still might feel left out in the cold from some loving people, but if they haven't done the work within themselves to figure out how to move forward in their own life, they might move towards someone who is single, someone from their past that they have fond memories with, that they think they could indulge themselves with, because kind of when we're in our shadowy energy and we don't really invest in people and we act more from emotional defensiveness, it is to kind of create illusion in a relationship, and it is kind of about indulging ourselves. because we create the illusion we're willing to move forward. But when we get in a relationship with people who do want to give birth to truly seeing the dream come into reality, then this person gets in two minds about it, because in order to have that dream come into reality, they've got to be emotionally vulnerable. And then they decide, because it causes them so much mental conflict, that they want to be single, that they think, I'm sure I'll be happier single. This is causing me mental conflict. I don't know why. And part of the thing is because the relationship is moving forward in a loving manner, and that in itself instills fear in them. Because, oh my God, I could get hurt, I could get hurt, I could get hurt. And if they don't feel they have the emotional foundation within themselves to weather emotional storms, if the relationship were to not work out at some future point in time, this person kind of gets caught up in their Pisces energy of fear and insecurity. And instead of trying to temper their fears and insecurities, it kind of gets them more up into their emotionally defensive nature of pride and ego. And then they decide the best solution is just to be single from the relationship. And then they maybe get the idea that, hey, maybe there's someone else who experienced an ending in their life, maybe has their own fears and insecurities. I can go get in a relationship with them. And they start to put work and effort in because they're maybe both in regret. And so long as they both stay focused on making the relationship more and more concerned about image and status and money and materialism as the driving factor, the relationship could probably move forward for a really long time. But if the person they get in a relationship with starts to, in Libra Taurus energy, they start to get more balance within themselves and healing themselves from the past pain and heartbreak of whatever didn't work out before, or their own past pain and heartbreak and fears and insecurities, and they start to listen more to their intuition, and they want this to really come into fruition of a true relationship of where people are deeply authentically open and honest and loving. That's when to have a dream come into reality, to detach from old ways of being, to move forward where both people put in the work and effort to be more emotionally self-sovereign and independent, then this person will leave the relationship again, and the relationship will happen all over. We repeat patterns of the past until we learn the lesson we were meant to learn. And some people never want to self-reflect about why relationships didn't work out in the past or deal with their past pain and heartbreak. So they keep doing this relationship dynamic over and over. Some of them, if they get tired of it, they might just decide, I'm going to stay single, and just light, fluffy relationships that I indulge myself in. And other people, because of either it gets too much where eventually they're feeling in lack, I need someone to nurture me, and because we're emotionally human beings, we like people to nurture and love us. Eventually they might go towards someone else who's single to see if that person will basically repeat this pattern with them. So like I say, some people, because they're still in two minds about putting in the work and effort to believe in themselves and their dreams and seeing life from a higher perspective, because some people really could have been attached to living a life more from pride and ego and making their life about money and materialism instead of love. If those people still have a lot of inner conflict about seeing that there's any higher purpose to life, or that love is supposed to be a factor in life, those people might just become single and stay single. I mean, they could be single because something's ended here. And so some of them could have ended a relationship with a Capricorn, but if they're still in two minds about believing in themselves and kind of doing the work it takes to get out of their emotional defensiveness and seeing that life is about love, those people might not right now stay single. others of them, because they maybe had some issues to work on within themselves, but they kind of didn't overcome some of their issues, they might go get in another relationship and basically repeat the pattern. And the people who are no longer going to live a life based on fear or illusion or keeping secrets, or, basically letting their pride or ego or the world dictate their life, and they want to have their dreams come into reality, those people are putting in the work and effort, and they are detaching from thinking that life was more either about, some people could have the illusion that everything was supposed to orient around them. Maybe they used to be kind of a very prideful, egotistical person and had illusions about relationships, and they could have thought that I'm supposed to be the center of attention. It's about my wants, my needs, my lusts, my greed, whatever, and that everybody else puts aside their pride and ego for as if the whole world oriented around them, like they're still like a 5 or 8-year-old child thinking very egocentric, thinking the world rotates around them. Well, that's not a very just and balanced way of viewing relationships, right? If any of those people, or they just thought life was all about looking like a shining star, but they've repeated this pattern enough, they've been left out in the cold. People have left relationships with them either because of their ego, self-centeredness, or pursuing a life of money and materialism made them feel left out in the cold and in lack. If any of those people have done the work to learn some lessons, they have walked away from this either wanting to win at all costs in the world energy, or this kind of emotionally defensive nature that was kind of their reason maybe for being so egocentric. They've walked away from that and they become independent. And if any of you dealt with people like that and you found out that it caused you a lot of mental conflict to be in a relationship with someone like that, so you ended it and you put an end to believing that your dreams could come into reality with someone like that, you did all this work to just deal with your regrets about that dream coming into reality, and you've put in work and effort to detach from that dream and idea that you had, to believe in yourself and knowing your own worth and value, and gonna go pursue your dreams, and you're happy and independent, and you are trusting your intuition, and you are being emotionally brave and strong and courageous to pursue your dreams. So your random quote calendar flip said, if not us, who? If not now, when? May 29th, the time to start living your life and taking the bold, confident action in your life starts every moment of every day. And if we didn't succeed because of some fears or insecurities crept in, don't beat yourself up. Every day that the sun comes up is a new day, telling us that there's a new opportunity, a new day has dawned. So keep moving forward, keep believing in your dreams. Hold on to your fond memories of the past. Let the unhappy memories go. They serve no purpose. They're done. It's over. You're independent of it. And move on. And I wish you all peace, love, and joy. And we will see you next time. Bye-bye.